Senator Morrissey. Senator, great to have you with us, sir.
John, it's always a pleasure to be on your show. Good morning to you, and condolences on the woefully poor performance of the Tennessee Titans yesterday.
Yeah, you know what? All said and done, they got off to a horrible start, and they really couldn't stop Pittsburgh on third down. They gave up way too many big plays on third down. But having as bad as they played, they came within a missed 46-yard field goal of getting into overtime. When he kicked it, my son and I jumped up. We thought it was right down the middle. It just tailed off. No good. That's football. But they battled back, and they're likely to meet the Steelers again in the playoffs. They're 5-1, Steelers 6-0. But it was a good game. But you get down 27-7 against a team like Pittsburgh. You dig yourself a hole. You can't come out of. But they did battle back and almost got into overtime.
That was the silver lining. That was the shining star in that game, that they got down by almost 3 touchdowns, but they fought back. They battled back. And that's the key to that game and so many other things. So anyway.
Yeah, I think the Steelers exposed our secondary. Titans have a lot of issues on their secondary. They exposed that. They exposed their zone. They got to work on that. But they fought back, and they're going to meet them again. I mean, the Pittsburgh and the Titans are likely to meet again in the playoffs, and we'll see how it goes. Joe, a lot to talk about today. I'm going to start with Amy Coney Barrett. She's going to get confirmed today. Also, Lisa Murkowski in Alaska said, I wasn't really in favor of this happening, but look, I met with her, and she's fantastic, and so I'm voting for her, which means all the Republicans are going to vote for her except Susan Collins, giving her an easy victory, and she'll get sworn in immediately. What does this mean, Joe?
It means the following. Let's just, first of all, examine how she's going to be sworn in easily, as you said. I was asked this weekend a really good question, and the person said, Joe, I thought it used to be that you could, if you really, one party did not want the other party, they could filibuster that candidate, and so that person would not receive a vote. And the answer is yes. That's the way that it used to happen. I read an excellent article in the Washington Post that put this in proper perspective. You know who the Democrats have to blame for not being able to kill Amy Barrett's nomination?
Harry Reid.
No. Well, yeah, it's themselves. Do you remember in 2013, the Democrats went nuclear, used the nuclear option, and they changed the confirmation rules to require effectively only a simple majority to the nomination process. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So that is the reason now that the Republicans, the last 3 Republicans, well, this is the third one, that the president has put up, have been able to be confirmed with a simple majority vote. And it is their responsibility for doing that. So here's what we take away from that. Whenever in politics you try to exert some muscle, if you're in power and you try to do something to game the system or take advantage of it, be mindful that it is going to come back and bite you. So if the Democrats 7 years ago in the Senate had not changed the rules to a simple majority, then they would have been able to defeat the last 3 Republican appointments by President Trump. Interesting. I just thought I would share that with your audience, and that's why I always say, well, even when I'm in the, I've been in the legislature for almost a decade now, that you got to do what's right, not what's right for the party at that moment. I'll give you an example. Right now, there are many Democrats that want to change the rules on this redistricting process. John?
Right.
I have been a supporter of redistricting reform for a long time. when the Democrats were out of power, they came up with the idea of this amendment to the state constitution to form a redistricting commission. Now that the Democrats have the power back, many Democrats are pulling away from that, saying, no, no, no. What do they want to do? They want to go back to the old way because they have power now. So the correct thing to do is look and see down the road what is best for the state, what's best for the Commonwealth, and it's simply this: a redistricting commission that tries to draw these seats in a party-neutral fashion. That's why everybody should vote yes to Amendment 1. Sorry if I digress, but there's a point that overlaps both Amy Barrett and the redistricting. Don't do what's right for yourself if you've got the power. Do what's right for the Commonwealth in the long run. So,
look, Joe, that's a good analogy. Look, I'm voting for Amendment 1. I think everybody that wants a fair process should vote for Amendment 1. I was not in favor of the gerrymandering that the Republicans did, the backdoor deals that were made between Saslow and Tommy Norment. That never felt good to me. Look, is Amendment 1 the best plan in the history of the world? No. But it's a good plan, and let's not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. That's the way I look at Amendment 1. So I've already voted. I voted early. I voted in favor of that, as I did Amendment 2. I voted in favor of that also, giving a tax break to vehicles owned by disabled veterans. Absolutely. But look, Amendment 1 is going to pass big.
I was just going to say, good examples right now. My district is a heavily Democratic district, okay? I represent the Tri-Cities, Petersburg, Hopewell, but you know what? I don't represent Colonial Heights because when that district was drawn by Democrats, they zeroed out Colonial Heights because it's a strong bastion of Republican votes. But to be fair, perhaps I should represent the entire Tri-Cities area, and that district should not be drawn merely to favor make it a strongly Democratic district. That's all I'm saying. It'll form or end up, I think, getting a better government in there. More people who are willing to compromise. More people that have competitive districts. That'll be the betterment of the Commonwealth.
Joe Morrissey with us, State Senator Joe Morrissey. Den Black says, ask Joe, are you for or against Amy? Don't give me a history lesson. Answer that, Joe.
Okay, that question is easy. She is qualified for the Supreme Court. Eminently qualified, number one. Number two, the president alone, by authority of the Constitution, has the authority to appoint Supreme Court justices. Number three, that's it. I'm a strict constructionist, so I think she should be appointed to the Supreme Court.
Would you vote for her if you were in the U.S. Senate as a Democrat?
I would break party lines and vote for her.
You got some coconuts, I'll tell you that, man. You would get skewered by the radicals. They'd be John, in front of your house.
Have you ever noticed me?
They pack a lunch.
Have you ever known me to make a vote simply because it's the party line or the powers that be dictate for me to do that? It's easy. I vote what's right. If you and your caller, you can remind him that when the abortion extension bill came up this past session in the General Assembly, where the Senate was divided 21-19, there was one Democrat that broke with his party. And you can tell your listener or the person who texted in that question who it was.
All right. It was Joe Morrissey. Joe, okay, I got 5 minutes. I got to get to mayor's race. All of a sudden, I feel a little momentum for Kim Gray. You got to win 5 of these awards to win in the first ballot. She's ahead in 1, 2, and 4. She's going to win those. I mean, she needs 2, right? 3, I heard through the grapevine is tied, and I've heard 8 she's closing. What say you?
You're spot on with that analysis. She is ahead in 1, 2, and 4. The third district, which is North Side, Richmond Ginter Park area, it's tied, but she's gaining momentum, and she's gaining momentum in both the 8th and the 9th, where she was 3 points behind. Here's what's going on in a nutshell.
Go ahead.
Stoney lost his entire white base of voters with the way he handled the statute situation. Just completely lost it, showed no leadership, so he's lost the white base. So then he kowtowed to his African-American base and broke the law and removed the statutes, not listening to his own city attorney who said, you can't do that, that's against the law. But Stoney was more interested in showing whatever African-American base he had left that he was going to take those statutes down. And his African-American base was crumbling. You may remember 400 African-Americans stood out of City Hall and demanded his resignation. So that's where his pathway to victory was. And he has, for example, pounced on the issue of schools. And he has said, look at all the schools that I have put up. Well, actually, there's a big problem with that. The 3 schools that were put up, okay, are over budget. They're still not complete, all right? And the dropout rate in Richmond Public Schools has doubled to 23.5% people are not graduating. That's almost 1 in 4 RPS children are not graduating on time. That's disgraceful. So what's happening is this. Kim is gaining momentum. She could, and I think will, capture the 8th, may even capture the 9th. I think she's going to, the voters in the 3rd ward are going to realize that Stoney is simply not good for them, okay? You look at just the facts, and he increased the meal tax. He tried to increase the real estate tax. People, whereas we were having not just young millennials moving into Richmond, we were having an increase in our population. Now we're seeing that some folks, businesses, are retreating from the city of Richmond, and empty nesters that were staying here are saying, I'm not going to put up with this, and they're moving out. So I think as the truth comes out in the final 8-9 days of the campaign, Kim gets better.
I think she's got a heck of a shot. I mean, a couple weeks ago, it looked like Stoney. Everybody was writing this thing off. Alexis Rogers is hurting Stoney, I think, in the reason why Kim has a shot in the 8th and the 9th is Alexis Rogers is running a better campaign than I ever thought she would. She's actually gaining. A lot of people say she's taking votes away from Kim. I mean, I think it's split. I think the anti-Stoney vote, obviously, she's taken from Kim Gray, but then, there's also the super progressive left wing that she's got. I mean, they were going to vote for Stoney. They're not going to vote for Gray. I also think that the Justin Griffin campaign's a comedy show. He should drop out. It's a joke.
Yeah. Number one, the fact that there were 3 candidates, 3 people opposing Stoney really, really helped him. If it had just been Alexis Rogers versus Stoney, or Kim versus Stoney, or even Justin Griffin versus Stoney, Stoney's out. But the anti-incumbent vote, and it is large, is now being split among 3 other candidates.
Right,
okay?
Right.
So, but I think the following. Justin Griffin has taken some votes away from Kim. I think Alexis Rogers is taking votes away from both of them.
Right, I agree with that.
At the end of the day, she should prevail in 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it'll be a nail biter on election night to see if she takes 8. But
well, Joe, we're gonna.
She does.
What's your prediction? Who wins? First ballot.
Narrowly, she wins 5 wards and becomes the next mayor.
Joe Morrissey predicting Kim Gray, first ballot victory. We're going to find out. Joe will have you call in. We're going to be live at the John Fredericks Radio Network election night headquarters. Got a big crowd coming on our panel in, where will we be? At the Westin Hotel in Virginia Beach at the Town Center. John Fredericks, Jim Anderson, Mike Watson, Chris Saxman. Got to have at least one Democrat, so we got Saxman.
I'll call in, John.
John Fredericks Radio Network. We got our token Democrat on our panel, Chris Saxman. Also, Pete Snyder is coming. Joe Morrissey, always good to hear from you, Joe. Joe, I heard you might be moving offices soon.
Yeah, that's the rumor mill.
I just tell you, before you move in, Joe, Ann's already been all over me for this. She says she wants a rent check. And she also wants like a security deposit and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know what I want, Joe?
Joe, I got to go, Joe. We're out of time. Joe, we're out of time.